Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. We appreciate the audience indulgence while we were getting together. The notice of the meeting was properly posted on June 13th. Items 3 through 28 are our consent docket items. Is there a motion to approve those?
Approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And with the board's indulgence, I thought maybe we could go to item 48 since we have our friends from the chamber here to make a presentation, and we could hear from them and let them go on their way before we hear the rest of our business. Kurt, Randy.
48. No, it's not 48. That's not 48.
I'm sorry, it's 49.
Yeah.
I just go ahead.
Well, good morning. Good to be with you again. It's nice to see all of you here, and we wanted to come by as part of our annual budget submission to you for contract purposes. But to give you a little preliminary update, we'll come back at a meeting, one of your next meetings, and give you a formal report. Our formal report will finish out the rest of this month. So that will be turned in to you all in early July, and then we can come back and give you a more complete update. But there's a few topics that we wanted to share with you, and then we thought if there's any questions we can answer, we're happy to do that. I have Randy Young with us, who is part of our team. He is our person who sort of spends full time on Tinker, the FAA, and all the related federal operations we have here in the community, and that's completely because of your support. So we wanted to come as we usually do and thank you for taking leadership in economic development, and particularly in support of the men and women who serve our country from Oklahoma City. And that is a huge impact on our economy. It's about a $4.8 billion impact on Oklahoma, and most of that is in Oklahoma County. So you have a lot to be proud of, and I hope you talk it up when you go around to visit with your constituents. Just a few things that are on our plate right now that we thought might be of interest, and Randy can talk in some more detail on some of these if any of them are of interest. The biggest one that's come up lately was in the sort of top of the fold of the newspaper more recently, but the federal government is going through a process of thinking about privatization and what parts of the government might be done by other people. And one of those pieces that is in play right now is portions of the FAA. And that sounds very non-controversial perhaps in some parts of the country, but we have over 6,000 people who work in some portion with the FAA here at the Mike Monroney Center. That privatization effort is squarely focused on our operations here in Oklahoma and Oklahoma City, Oklahoma County. So we have stepped up to begin working with the Mike Monroney Center leadership. We've engaged our delegation in Washington, and we are even working towards perhaps bringing on lobbying support, not through your funds, but to bring on lobbying support if we need to make an effort to sort of head this off at the pass. There certainly are things that can be done to enhance government, but there also are some functions that probably are meant to be done by government, not by the private sector. And so we want to make sure that a thoughtful discussion is had and that our operations are protected as much as possible. So Randy has been spending a tremendous amount of time working on that in the last few weeks, and we have talked about it at our leadership level at the chamber, and we'll certainly keep you guys updated, but you all are helping front and center to make sure that that operation is protected. Just a couple other quick things that relate mostly to Tinker, and I'm actually going to ask Randy to come up and talk about some of these, but one is the MROTC, which is an operation on the east side of Douglas that the community through the OIA, the county through the OIA, has been key to that for many years. There are some financial issues with it, not bad, but just that it has to be worked out about leasing and long-term leasing and hangar needs at Tinker, which is great that they need more and more. And so Randy and a number of other folks, Kathy O'Connor's group at OIA, have been working to be proactive to make sure that those hangars are available for the work that needs to get done here in Oklahoma County. Do you want to share anything else on that?
Hey,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, while he's coming forward, I might add just very briefly that you mentioned that Randy has been sort of involved in Tinker. I can vouch he's just been sort of involved for 20-plus years.
Absolutely. We're very fortunate that when he retired, he agreed to continue to carry that flag. So he actually offices out by Tinker and is in meetings out there every week. Two other pieces that are going on right now. One is there certainly is a lot of construction going on out at the rail yard. You know, that was a key effort of ours with you all for a number of years. The construction is still underway. We still expect it to be about $500 million worth of construction. There has been some slippage in times for delivery of airplanes, which will slightly delay the hiring, but they're now talking over 1,300 jobs, so there may even be a few more jobs than originally were thought. But we are monitoring that and staying on that for nothing else than to make sure that quality jobs is applied for at the appropriate time, because as you remember, we made an agreement that those dollars would be shared back with the county and the city to help pay back the investments that were made to acquire the rail yard. So we are on top of that, and that will continue to move forward at the right time. The other is a project called the Innovation Center, not the Innovation District, but the Innovation Center, which is an effort to support Tinker and their need for help, particularly when they have parts that are maybe out of date or are not made by someone anymore. How can they work with companies to create the parts for the future to keep those planes flying? And so there's been a talk with a lot of partners, including the Chickasaw Nation and Tinker and us and a lot of other people, to talk about could there be a joint operation near the base that could be used both by the government and private sector to create opportunities for more business and keep our planes flying and that sort of thing. Do you want to share anything on that?
Also, I wanted to add that the FAA, by the way, they do a tremendous job with pilot. I've done their advanced pilot survival things over there, and they do just a tremendous job. And you're there with people from all over the world doing those different things, and they really do a great job on all of that.
It's almost the equivalent of having another university here in the area, the tens of thousands of people who come through here to learn from the experts here in Oklahoma and right here in Oklahoma County. And so you're right, and we're going to help them tell their story. They've been sort of a hidden gem out there, and we want to make sure that everyone knows all the different things that are going out there. They're even doing medical research that supports the space program. They're working on dealing with an issue with astronauts who actually have a form of blindness or deterioration of their eyes after being in space. No one can figure out why that's happening. Well, that research is being done out at the FAA Center here in Oklahoma City. And they're doing a tremendous amount around other things as well. And we'll come back and share more with that once we have that story together, because they don't want to hide their gifts under a bushel. But Randy, do you want to talk a little more about the Innovation Center?
Yeah. The Innovation Center is pretty interesting. As Kirk said, we had a meeting with the Chickasaw Nation and some of the academic partners and stuff on the issue. And basically, what it does, and Butch, you remember when we had so many problems with spare parts. And anyway, it was getting to the point that we would put parts out for bid, and they would no bid them back simply because the workload wasn't that economically feasible to do. So anyway, then there was a push to find sources for all of this, and then the Innovation Center was recommended. I think it's a great idea. I went to Virginia to look at a similar facility out there, and basically what they were able to do is with the industry and academia and the guy out there is NASA was involved in it. But anyway, they were able to overcome different things with regard to funding and business models and things like that, and put together a really neat facility. And anyway, we're trying to do that here. We're making progress. We haven't come to agreement yet on exactly what that business model looks like. And anyway, we're working through it. Had a really good meeting last month. Looking forward to another one in the future. So we're making progress on that, and hopefully, this thing will come to, fruition, and we'll have, there's elements of innovation centers, at Tinker, at OU, and different other places, and so anyway, it's a matter of pulling all that together and coming up with a viable business model. I might mention, give you a little more data on the quality jobs. The KC-46 has, it's slipped, and there's been a number of reasons for that. That affects the hiring plan and the lay-in of the workforce. Basically, they're going after FAA certification. Once they get FAA certification, then they can complete all the test flights. And anyway, Boeing thinks they can still deliver in December 17. Air Force Acquisition thinks it's going to be sometime into 18. I had Tinker go ahead and run a new model. The 1321 that we briefed to you back when, as far as the new jobs, has increased just a little bit to 1350, and it looks like in 2018 will be the optimum time to go ahead and make application for that and start those monies flowing back into the city and the county. So anyway, it's looking pretty good, and anyway, I had a meeting with the state yesterday, or the day before yesterday, and anyway, everybody's is standing ready. So we're just working through the processes right now. So, any questions you might have?
If I may, Mr. Chair, Randy, what are you looking at with regard to the completion of the infrastructure out there for the KC-46?
You know, I'm glad you asked that. I was out there a couple of days ago, and I'll tell you that, of course, the infrastructure contracts have been awarded. The initial hangar contract's been awarded, and the second hangar contract's been awarded. The infrastructure is it's progressing on schedule, and basically once it'll be absolutely ready by the time that the first one's delivered for maintenance. Pretty excited about that.
Be ready at the end of the year then.
Yeah. So
Remember you have
some parts of the infrastructure and stuff but I drive out there about every day, and I'll tell you what, they're making really nice progress on it. Yes, sir.
Randy, you mentioned the second hangar, so refresh my memory. So how many hangars are associated with the KC-46?
Okay. The construction program includes the infrastructure. It includes 14 hangars, okay? It includes a 10-meter test cell, and then there's going to be some supply-type buildings in support of all of that will go along, including a fuel defuel facility. So it's $500 million investment. Okay.
And that's still secure. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of just the timing for it to go forward.
Right.
Leonard?
Yes, sir.
Not related to construction. Did you have people in place to do eye research, or is that a new division? I can imagine you have people out there that can do eye research already in place.
Well, yeah, the FAA actually has a sizable medical team out there that does all sorts of things around. They also do when there's an issue with other, maybe even crashes and things like that. They also have a very interesting facility that they can drop a fuselage into water and work with people on water issues and all sorts of very interesting things that most people probably would never know is going on out there, because it's sort of isolated from much of the community. But a lot of that's been in place a long time. We just want to make sure that because someone in Washington doesn't think it's just a great idea that sounds like it will save money, but maybe endanger our skies for the future. Do we want the airlines running our airspace if something bad would happen, like 9/11? Do we want the airlines through a nonprofit corporation deciding what happens, or do we want the government doing that? So there's some interesting issues that also affect Oklahoma County that we want to make sure are handled.
Steve Russell got out in front of that almost.
He did. He's done a great job, and Inhofe has too. Senator Inhofe's already gone before the Transportation Committee and put his gauntlet down and said this doesn't make sense. There's some politics that have been played. I know you're shocked at that. Some folks from Pennsylvania have for years wanted to do this, and they've had their eyes set on Oklahoma being privatized. It's now gaining some traction because of some of the conversations going on in Washington, but we believe the Senate will stop it, and it'll give us plenty of time to work through what we need to do to make sure that we're protected. but we're diligent in working on it regularly. The other piece is Tim Dickinson, who's our other colleague, who retired from Tinker last summer, took over for Gary Pence. He had a doctor's appointment this morning or would have been here with us, but he's been engaging the aerospace community, and we're actually going to a trade show with the state later today to talk up Oklahoma and Oklahoma County for aerospace. So we are on the job and making an effort, and there's actually a project we hope to announce soon that will add a number of other aerospace jobs, and we've got several others we're working on. So we just, again, wanted to come out and see if there's any questions about the upcoming contract. We appreciate your support. I think it's been a very successful one, and it really combines the strengths of both our organizations for the benefit of the community. So thank you for your support.
Any other questions? If not, thank you, Kurt.
Thank
you. Is there a motion?
Move for approval, receipt.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Excuse me, that motion was that then we're recommending to the Board of County Commissioners that they approve the project? That's approve the contract.
The contract, yes.
They want to be sure that that's understood.
Okay.
Because that's
clear?
what we're asking you to do.
Mm-hmm.
We're recommending to the board that they sign the contract. That is correct.
Okay.
The
Thank
motion
you.
was messed up, but that's what he was trying to say.
So glad you're sitting there.
So am I.
All right, resuming our docket on item 29. Thank you, guys. And we have some transfers here.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
can we do a whole bunch of those at the same time?
I was hoping.
Yeah, through 35, I think. Maybe.
Care to make that the motion, Mr. Assessor?
And I'll second.
Is that clear enough, DA? No.
Motion that we approve up to item 35.
All right.
Second.
And to be clear, that's appropriations for Juvenile Bureau, District Number 3, OSU Extension, IT, Sheriff, District 1, and Court Clerk. Transfer of cash funds. Appropriations. Motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Now, Danny, our monthly financial report.
Good morning.
Morning.
The PowerPoint we'll pull up here is attached to the agenda, so you can follow along, or you can follow along with the regular report that's attached. The first page I want to talk about is page 2. This is a look at our general fund reserve, where it started the year at and where we're at right now. Right now we've got $2.3 million in reserve. There's an item later on in the agenda for a recommendation to move $550,000 out of here to employee benefits. If that money is approved to be moved, that would leave a balance of $1,750,807 in reserve for the rest of this year. Captain Skuda on Tuesday to the BET had reported that the amount of $320,000 that we have earmarked for the inmate cap for the rest of this year, we may not need to move that out of reserve after all, which would help in our carryover, our fund balance for next year. We had built an estimate that we would move $1.4 million out of reserve into next year. So right now it's looking like we're going to get to move about $1.7 million. So that'll help toward our September supplement to the tune of about $300,000. All right, let's take a look at general fund for the month of May. To date, we've collected $84.4 million of the $81 million that we budgeted for the year. That's 104%. Last year we collected 103% at this time. Page 5, still general fund, comparing to last year. To date, through the end of May, we've collected a little more than $3 million in revenue than we did same time last year, which was to be expected. We budgeted a $2.9 million increase. And through May, we have spent out of our current budget about $1.2 million less than the same time last year. That's a 1.8% decrease. The next thing I'd like to talk about is employee benefits. That is on page 11. All right. Through the end of May, we are estimating, based on the actuals we paid out through the month of May, that we're going to come up about $719,000 short, according to May's numbers. We've seen an increase in medical and prescription claims alone at about $4.5 million over last year. That's a 27% increase in just those two categories. We budgeted total expenses for the total fund at $23.6 million. We're estimating about $28.5 million this year. That's almost a $5 million increase over last year. No new news there. We have received some stop-loss reimbursement to the tune of $1.7 million this year, and we pay out in premiums $794,000. So we've collected a whole lot more than we've paid out in premiums this fiscal year in stop-loss, so it's really paid off. This is the report that I gave to BET on Tuesday, kind of a picture of where we are at as of today. Right now we've got $635,000 available in employee benefits to get us through the end of June. We've still got 2 weeks left. Estimating the last week's claims, medical and prescription claims, taking an average, the rest of the month we're going to have expenses totaling $1,150,000. That's going to leave us short about $514,000. That's why you're going to see a recommendation from the BET later on to move that $550,000 to cover the expenses for the rest of this month. That last week's medical and prescription claims, that's an estimate. If it comes in lower, of course, anything we don't spend this year just carries forward into the fund next year. And if it comes in higher, we may just have to push those last week's claims off a few days until we reach July 1. We'll have more money put into employee benefits funds for the next fiscal year that we can use. That's really all I have on the report, unless you have any questions.
Anything else, Danny? Is there a motion to receive his report?
So moved.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Danny. John, you want to lead us through the next 7 items? Thank you.
Will we recess long enough to read this?
On the first page, what I want to go over real quick is kind of the rest of the story. You know, you hear the gross numbers from Danny, but again, my purpose in my report is always to tell you what's going on behind the scenes and what's really driving healthcare costs, because we can look at numbers and say, hey, yeah, everything's up, everything's out of control, but here's where I really drive down and tell you exactly where the money's being spent, and we all want to know where the money's going. So on that first page...
Why is everybody looking at me?
No, we're looking at what that sound was.
So on the first page, what I've done is, in the past, I've always ran this at $50,000, and it showed people who spent $50,000 on our health plan, Brian, but you haven't spent $50,000, so we're safe. This time I ran it, I jumped it way up to $125,000. So for this fiscal year, how many people have spent $125,000 or over? So last fiscal year, 11 people have. This fiscal year, 20 people have, and to the tune for those 20 people, we've paid $7.7 million for 20 people. So you think of that in terms of our overall cost, it's not out of control, but we have a lot of big claimants, we have a lot of risk. So that's what I really want to point out, is we have a lot of risk, a lot of big claimants compared to last year. A lot of big cases. On the next page, I even break it down further, and this goes into where our money's being spent at on the health plan. Let's see if I have a... There we go. And really two things that stick out to me, and that it's been going on all year, is our inpatient facility costs and our prescription drugs. Inpatient, we're 91% ahead of where we were last year. That's directly related to those 20 big claimants, because they're inpatient, they're spending a lot of money. And then prescription drugs, 32% up. Our prescription drug plan is the most generous out there. The county's never changed anything. They said, we're going to cover everything, no matter what. So that being the case, you know, we've got a solution coming with a new prescription plan that we've got a lot lower drug cost. So that's gonna help a lot. It's gonna counteract that. I got a report from that new prescription plan we're going with. Clients that have been with them 10 years, for the last 10 years, they've only seen single-digit cost increases. We see 20, 30% every year on our prescriptions, every year. So it's gonna be really exciting to see how that really works out for us, if they're blowing smoke or if it's really true. Then on our inpatient facility cost, again, the real solution is at Healthcare Highways. It's going in 7-1, because they're gonna get us bigger discounts, lower prices. It's really simple. And those are two solutions. So typically, in the past, we've had low years, then we've had a big high year, then we've had a low year. Hopefully next year we'll work out, we'll have a lot less big claimants, and then with these two programs coming in, hopefully those will all, pan out to make a much better year next year. But even if we have a terrible year next year, we have some things that are gonna work to our advantage. We're gonna get bigger discounts in the facilities, and we're gonna get bigger discounts on our prescriptions. So those should help. And then the most important thing that I need everyone's help with, because we're kind of running behind. Yesterday, we've got the 2 contracts approved for the new network, provider network, and the new prescription plan. So it's already the 15th of the month today, and these changes go into effect 7/1. So what happens 7/1 is when you go to the doctor or pharmacy, especially when you go to the pharmacy, the card you currently have will not work anymore. So we've got to print new ID cards. We've got to get a sample. Our plan is to get a sample ID card out to everybody in the mail and via email to say, if you don't receive your new ID card before 7/1, here's a sample one to use at your pharmacy. Because a lot of people get their mail, they throw it away, they don't open it. And then we're dealing with 3,100 people. We're dealing with a lot of retirees that are in their 80s and 90s, so when they get... No, I'm not poking fun. I'm just saying that it takes more communication. So communication is the key. So what I'm reaching out for you to do is help your employees too. Call us if you want us to come and do meetings to explain everything, because we have a very short time to get this done. And it's very important because when people go to the doctor or the pharmacy after 7/1, if they don't use their new ID card, we're going to have a lot of problems. Hopefully next week, HealthSmart will start mailing those out. So next week, my plan is to email a sample card to everybody and mail out a sample card. So they'll have a sample just in case we don't receive the ones in the mail. But it's going to be a lot of ID cards coming out.
I would hope that probably everyone's involved in this, Dan. As an example, get the word out to our employees how critically important this is, because you're right. People receive so much mail, whatever.
So we'll do email blasts, we'll go to departments, mailers.
Let's spread the word that maybe their paycheck's in that, so don't throw it away.
Big money, but that's very important. So expect some hiccups. It's not going to go perfect. Nothing goes perfect when there's that many people involved and that close to timeline, but we're going to do everything we can to get communication out and make it as fluid as we can. And then again, today on our floor, we're doing the retirement board election today and tomorrow, so come vote. Encourage your employees to vote.
Back on the notification, got actives and retirees. How are we notifying retirees?
We're doing those by mail.
Okay.
So, and we have 2 different sets of retirees. That's very important because the ones over 65, that card is just prescription only. But then the ones under 65 is just like our cards. It's going to be medical and prescription. So there's different information pieces to go out to different sets of people. So we're going to just make sure we get those out to everybody and make it as smooth as possible.
I know it. As I look around here, there's several of us who have to worry about that under 60.
You are?
So any questions?
Well, I just wonder, what do I do? I'm over 65 and I'm not retired.
You're perfect. You'll just receive an active employee ID card.
All right.
But it's easy to submit these updates to everybody in the building who's here, but it's really hard when they're retired in another state or retired somewhere else.
Well, wait a minute, you're over 65?
That's what I asked.
Yeah.
I thought that was 35.
What's going
I've been asking you for weeks.
Yeah, but did you hear what Ray said?
What did Ray say? Don't tell me what Ray said. He's just
That's why there's a mic button.
Trying to get you more mic time. Okay. Thank you, John.
Sure.
Is there any motions needed on any of these?
Just move to receive the report.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Hey.
Is there a second?
Second.
She's
Willa made the motion.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And
Now you want to tell us about the surgery center?
yes, sir. Exciting news on the surgery center. Since the state's plan came aboard this year, and some other plans have came aboard the surgery center, they're offering a lot more services. So we're getting more services available there at a lower price. So, only change to that is more services, lower prices. And somebody asked me the other day, just real quick, what I found interesting, they're like, how long can the county offer the surgery center deal, or the McBride deal, or the heart hospital deal? Because it doesn't make sense, because I pay nothing when I go there. I said, well, if you went to another place, it cost us, for the surgery, you had $26,000. You went here, it cost us $3,000. We can't afford not to do it. So it just makes sense. So, again, kudos to the surgery center. They're offering more procedures at lower prices. So that's the only thing that changes in their renewal.
Okay. Is there a
Move
motion?
approval of the renewal agreement with the surgery center.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And
Now, with the McBride?
McBride, no changes in their contract, same terms, everything remains the same.
Being a McBride alumni, I'll move approval.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Vision Services Plan?
No changes. This is our VSP or Vision Services for the actors and retirees.
Motion to move.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Got it? Okay, the Delta Dental Plan?
Delta Dental, no changes this year, same terms.
Motion to,
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And our Health Smart Benefit Solutions.
Really no changes on this item, same as it was last year.
motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And then finally, Deer Creek, or Deer Oaks LLC.
Yeah, this is our employee assistance program, no changes.
Just a question on that program.
Sure.
How is it being utilized?
It's pretty, well, in terms of how much it's utilized compared to others, usually you see about a 5% employee population utilize that, that's all it gets. We're about at 5%.
Okay.
So we're doing well compared to others. It's not a huge percent of people, but a lot of people don't need it.
That's what I'm talking about.
Motion to
My
move it.
folks don't need it at the county.
Yeah. Well, when you look at their bosses, of course they don't.
Is there a motion?
Yes.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for all of those. Mr. Skuda, do you care to address this on item 44? Or,
That's fine, please.
Good morning.
Morning.
Just a quick update. As I've kind of kept you all in the loop the last couple months, the main topic of conversation has been the inmate medical cap. Just to give you a little more of an update as to where we stand today versus where we were a month ago. A month ago, what they were estimating from ARMA was around the 550, give or take, overage on the inmate medical cap that was initially estimated. After an additional month of bills have come in, as well as an additional month of data, so to speak, they're now projecting closer to the $675,000 over the inmate medical cap. The reason for that's a couple different things, but the biggest driver, the last 3 months, we've seen a very large increase in the number of in-hospitalization days. Those have been our 3 highest months to date this fiscal year. Historically, they've kind of been here or there, but we've never really had 3 all in a row where they were over 20 days. And so that was definitely one of the driving factors. I do want to point out a couple different things as well as far as the inmate medical cap overage. Our average daily population this year is approximately 85% of what it was last year based on the reports that ARMA is providing us. Looking also at the overall cost, those costs are also roughly 85% of what they were last year. So there's definitely some correlation between the population going down as well as some of the inmate costs going down as well. And so that's what I've got for you today. I'm happy to answer any questions you all might have on that.
is there any questions?
Approval received.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Second.
Thanks, John.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Rob, you want to talk to us about Tyler Munis or Augie?
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
It's good to see you. We've got some good things going on with Tyler Munis. District 1, we've been working very closely with Tex Cobb on the work order module. And part of this is an overall implementation plan to get off of Oracle and using the legacy highway cost system and being able to have all of our road data in Munis. And so we've been working very closely with Tex, who happens to be on vacation, well-deserved. And we had it very, very close for him where he will begin July 1 using only the Munis system and not having to use the highway cost anymore. And our hope is that since he has really taken hold of it and using it very well for what he needs for work orders, that we'll now take that to the other districts and begin to implement it there. And then over time, we didn't want to try implementing it at all districts at once. We took more of a linear approach as far as that's concerned. We thought it would be a lot more easy for the members of the districts that are having to work in it to have a lot of those kinks worked out before we presented it to them. So that's an update there. Also, we traveled recently up to Tulsa for a Tyler work group meeting, and I'll let Augie talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, May 31st, we were at the Oklahoma user group meeting in Tulsa, and we're finding out that there's a lot more people seem to be getting onto the Tyler Munis here in Oklahoma, which I believe is a good thing for the county. The more people are on it, the more pull we have with Tyler to get like changes implemented for the state of Oklahoma, like different laws and rules that apply to us. We can have Tyler, be more receptive to our.
I'll get these new people, so to speak. So are they other counties? Are they municipalities? Are they
cities, and I think there's a county. I know the city of Norman is looking into it too. So more's on it too. Yeah. So and our favorite implementers coming out to help with our year-end closing. Maureen Jelinas will be here next month. So that's always good because she's great. So that's pretty much
Are more of the offices happy with it now? I know we were vetting a lot of complaints here at some point, but I haven't heard as many lately, but it could be because I haven't asked.
Christie, are we happy with it? We're happy with it.
Does the sheriff's office get happier with it? Is John still back there? Oh, there he is.
No, I switched sides on you, sorry.
That's all right.
No, we're moving in the right direction.
You're happier?
Yes, happier. Happier than used to be.
The microphone wasn't on there, but let the record reflect he's happier. Okay.
That's good.
All right, thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you.
Is there a motion to receive the report?
Motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And now, Cody with the BET report.
Good morning.
Morning.
Morning, Cody. BET met this past Tuesday, and there's really only two items to really discuss this morning. One, on the BET watch list, the Sheriff's Office asked us to remove one of their items, the jail temporary kitchen, the $31,500, that has been removed. The other item that we took up was actually a recommendation that is on your agenda. It's the next agenda item, number 47, which is a recommendation to transfer $550,000 from general fund reserve to employee benefits to finish out this fiscal year. That is item number 47. 48 is related to that. That's just, if you guys approve 47, it would be the appropriation of those dollars.
Is there a motion to receive Cody's report?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Now,
Is that both items?
well, that's just to receive his report. Now we've got the items 47 and 48 to take action on. Are there motions for those two items?
Move approval of 47.
Second.
Okay, Kelly, the motion was for 47 and 48. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. And we've already addressed item 49, so now elected official comments. Assessor.
I just say the county assessor doing a great job to generate the funds we run the county government with.
Good thing is Mike wasn't on.
I can only say that the county treasurer's done a magnificent job of collecting those funds.
follow that.
Yeah, we're being very frugal with those funds.
Oh, Jesus.
Nothing else, thank you.
District one,
Nothing, thank you.
Court Clerk.
I'd like to mention yesterday in our Capitol, some of our elected officials were fired upon, and some of our people that are to protect us, the Capitol Patrol, pulled their revolvers and fought for their lives and did a great job. And I'd like to recognize everybody that carries a gun and a badge and gets up every morning and defends our freedoms. I think from the Sheriff's Office to the police departments, highway patrols, I think we should probably start saying thank you to them. They're very fine people.
Clerk?
No comments, thank you.
Okay. Are there any citizens to be heard? Seeing none, if not, is there any new business? If not, is there a motion to recess into executive session?
Motion?
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Is there a motion to return to regular session?
Motion. Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, items 54, 55, and 56. Any action on those?
Yes, sir. I'll be happy to do a motion as soon as I figure it out.
Okay.
Leonard's got me all messed up.
I know.
I would move we return to open session.
We've already
did
done
that, okay.
Yeah.
Ready for
That's been done. See? On item 54, I would move approval of item 54.
Is that sufficient, counsel?
That's the Hoffman claim.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, is there a second?
There was.
There was
All in favor say aye.
Aye. On item 55, the Mitchell claim, I would move denial of that claim.
All in favor say aye.
Aye. And item 56, which is the Peterson claim, again, I would move denial
Second.
of that claim.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.